One of the skills that I think is really important when it comes to wholehearted facilitation is being able to acknowledge both our commonalities and our differences. That is, the commonalities and differences between us as facilitators and the groups that we are helping, as well as the commonalities and differences between them as a group. So in order to do that, number one, we have to be aware of any stereotypes and assumptions that we might make. Once we do that, then we need to find out what things we have in common, as well as what areas we may be different, and then we intentionally find ways to leverage both. So let's talk about that. I have found in my lifetime that oftentimes within the first couple minutes of interacting with someone, I have made a lot of assumptions, some positive and some negative about the other person. And so when we do the wholehearted self-coaching model, what we say is, out of habit, we all react. That includes thoughts, feelings, and actions. And so what I realize is there are a lot of habitual thoughts that I have where I take an assessment of another person, whether it's fair or unfair. In that self-coaching model, what we encourage people to do is to pause and not do what's habitual or adjust what's habitual, and instead to respond out of a different kind of motive and a greater level of awareness. And so it's not that you're not to have those thoughts, it's that you are to arrest those thoughts and say, wait a minute, this is not based on reality. Let me get to know the person. So I say that because when you come into any kind of facilitation situation, I want you to have an open mind. And even if there's a tendency to not, you catch yourself and change it and say, this is a blank slate. Once you do that, it is a great idea to find the points of commonality. Maybe that person and we both love our children deeply. That's the reason oftentimes you do this icebreaker in an activity and you allow people to tell a little bit about themselves. What it allows you to do is to see their humanity, and there's a connection there that they can make with each other and with you as a facilitator. So find ways that you are similar, because that's often where a connection is. And then you will look and often see the ways that you are different. And what I say is sometimes people see differences as conflict. I see differences as ways you can complement each other, because if I'm good at one thing and you're good at another, we can bring those skills together and deal with it from a broader level. So finding the areas where you can complement each other is really important. So wait a minute, I grew up in a small town, but you grew up in a big city. We're different in that way, but yet we're also the same because we're both the third child in our family or whatever it is. So you find both. Then the last step is finding a way to leverage it. Sometimes when you're having a discussion and someone says, this is my opinion on it, and this is how I've dealt with it, you can often ask the person who is different, can you give us your perspective as someone who comes from a different area of the country? Do you see it the same way? Or you can even say, if somebody is the same, okay, you both were firstborns in your family. Do you see it the same? You find those areas of commonality and difference and you play off of it. And what you'll find is even across similarities, there are differences. And even across differences, there are similarities. And what that mindset does is it brings you together as a group. It builds community and it allows you to learn, grow, and heal together. So that idea of leveraging and acknowledging both our commonalities and our differences is so important in wholehearted facilitation. We've got to be aware of the assumptions and stereotypes we're making, understand how we connect, understand how we complement each other, and then use it for the good of the group. Being able to facilitate at this level, taking in details such as that, only makes you more effective. And it also models for your participants a way of thinking, living, and seeing the world that will bring people together in a really powerful way.